Don't let me
Hey,
start
don't let
telling
this
your
segment mess our marriage up. I can't really tell you what's wrong with kids, but I can tell you what the hell wrong with parents.
In a dimly lit federal courtroom where silence hung heavy and the only sound was the scratch of pens and the occasional gasp, something unthinkable happened. Behind closed doors, in the shadow of what should have been the end of Shah Diddy Comey's empire, a deal was struck, one that could change everything. Insiders close to the case are now whispering that Diddy, facing a possible 20-year sentence for prostitution-related charges, offered up more than apologies and defense strategy. He handed the FBI a name, a big one, Steve Harvey.
Dishonest, violent, horrible. A promiscuous swinger who lied to and cheated on multiple partners. Incredibly, that's how Sean Diddy Combs' own lawyers described the billionaire music mogul, currently facing serious sex trafficking charges in a New York court.
The betrayal, if true, isn't just career-ending, it's a seismic event. The kind of move that shakes the foundations of Hollywood power, exposing the dark current beneath the glittering surface. Diddy's legal team, riding high after he dodged the most devastating charges, racketeering, trafficking, forced coercion, has been unusually quiet since the verdict. But one thing is clear, his bail denial didn't stop him from negotiating behind the bars. And what he allegedly gave in exchange, evidence, files, recordings, maybe even direct testimony. All of it pointing to a man who has long projected family values and wholesome wisdom on syndicated television. Steve Harvey, the Family Feud patriarch, the self-styled relationship guru, the king of morning talk radio, and possibly the secret general of Hollywood's invisible empire. Law enforcement insiders suggest that the FBI is preparing for a move against Harvey, one that could come as early as Diddy's sentencing hearing this fall. The arrest is rumored to target Harvey as a central node in a far-reaching network of coercion, control, and cover-ups in the entertainment industry. If Diddy's files truly exist, they reportedly connect Harvey to years of hush operations, intimidation tactics, and elite-level manipulation involving some of the biggest names in music, film, and television. A web so vast it's been compared internally to a celebrity syndicate, a system of power so thick with silence and protection that it took federal pressure and Combs' desperation to finally crack it open. So now we ask, was Diddy's betrayal of Steve Harvey just a move for mercy? Or is there something deeper at play here? Something older, colder, and far more personal? Because make no mistake, this isn't just about cutting a deal. This is about leverage, about settling scores, and perhaps, just perhaps, about revenge. There's one theory gaining traction that takes this from scandal into psychological warfare. Diddy's alleged past with Lori Harvey, Steve's stepdaughter, is more than just a headline from 2019. At the time, photos of the two together laughing in Italy, vacationing in Cabo, even dining with a Harvey family sent shock waves through social media. But what if it wasn't a fling? What if it wasn't even about Lori?
I'm so protective of her because I know what she up against.
What if that romance was a mission? Multiple sources have quietly speculated that Diddy's involvement with Lori may have served as an entry point into Steve Harvey's inner circle. Some even call it an infiltration. After all, who else could get that close to a fiercely guarded family? Lori, then in her early 20s, was seen as rising star material. Diddy, decades her senior, was dealing with the grief of losing Kim Porter and clinging to what insiders described as emotional anchors. But with what we know now about the tapes, the files, and the timing, some are starting to wonder whether that entire relationship was a smokeout screen. Was Diddy gathering information on Steve the whole time? Were those cozy dinners and paparazzi strolls actually reconnaissance? And let's not forget, Diddy and Steve weren't strangers. Their friendship dates back at least 2 decades, built on shared industry clout and power dinners in Beverly Hills. But since the trial began, Harvey has been conspicuously absent from public comments. Not a word of support, not a quote, not even a vague prayers for the family moment, just radio silence. That's not normal for a man who once boasted about mentoring the same celebrity who might now be trying to bury him. Behind that silence, according to those familiar with the investigation, is panic. Because what Diddy gave up wasn't just names. It was logistics, venues, staff rosters, flight records. And in those details lies the possibility that Harvey wasn't just aware of the dark underbelly of celebrity parties. He might have been helping manage it. Sources from the legal side say the investigation into Harvey now spans back nearly 10 years, tracing connections to talent agencies, sponsorship contracts, and private events that were allegedly used as fronts for behavior the public would never tolerate. Diddy's alleged freak-offs might have seemed grotesque, but if Harvey's involved, the scope and intent could be on another level.
Well, the things that I experienced with him were monster-like. That stuff almost destroyed my life.
Even more chilling, there's chatter that some of the same security personnel who protected Diddy during his heyday later worked for Harvey's television productions. One ex-bodyguard has reportedly turned state's witness. That alone suggests a dangerous overlap. Shared resources, shared secrets, shared liability. And the conspiracy only deepens when you bring in the quieter names, handlers, assistants, drivers, who've started to speak now that the spotlight isn't just on Diddy anymore. One claim even alleges that Harvey's media empire may have been used to launder narratives, silencing accusers by discrediting them on his radio shows or offering financial settlements behind the scenes. The most disturbing aspect, according to 3 separate individuals who claimed to have worked in Harvey's orbit during the mid-2000s, there were internal protocols for scandals before they happen. Allegedly, that included strategies to neutralize potential lawsuits, rebrand controversial behavior, and pre-select sympathetic journalists for soft coverage. One former employee described it as a crisis PR machine that never turned off, like they always expected something to go wrong. Now we're starting to understand why they were referred to me as Wild King.
They were referred to me as Wild King Nights. And what a Wild King Night was when him and a guest would go to a hotel room or be at his home, his bedroom, and they would have intimate gatherings. I would have to go and prep that hotel room, which consisted of baby oil, astroglide.
And then there's Marjorie Harvey, the wife, the matriarch, the one who recently slammed the internet's obsession with rumors of her alleged affair with a bodyguard and personal chef. While Marjorie called the gossip lies and foolishness, she also leaned heavily on Bible quotes and spiritual language, often a signal some argue that real heat is coming and lawyers have advised against specifics. But what if the rumors about Marjorie were more than marital drama? What if they were distractions planted ahead of something bigger, something that would make a cheating scandal seem quaint?
Marjorie, the thing that Marjorie's not telling you all.
Telling everybody's
yes,
business? Okay, now don't let me start telling Steve's business.
And then there's Marjorie Harvey, the wife, the matriarch, the one who recently slammed the internet's obsession with rumors of her alleged affair with a bodyguard and personal chef. While Marjorie called the gossip lies and foolishness, she also leaned heavily on Bible quotes and spiritual language, often a signal some argue that real heat is coming and lawyers have advised against specifics. But what if the rumors about Marjorie were more than marital drama? What if they were distractions planted ahead of something bigger, something that would make a cheating scandal seem quaint?
I thought he was this clean businessman who rise to the top because he was such a powerful and smart, educated man. I had no idea that he had this other side to him. And when I started to get exposed to his lifestyle, I started to really realize, like, this guy has an addiction. It's not just, once every few weeks, it's every day, every hour.
And that's exactly what's keeping Hollywood's inner circle awake at night. Diddy's alleged deal with the FBI hasn't just betrayed Steve Harvey. It's detonated a panic bomb across the entire entertainment industry. Whispers are bouncing from studio lots to private yachts. Who's next? Behind those staged smiles and filtered selfies, A-listers are scrambling. High-profile managers have suddenly canceled appearances, hastily locking their clients into off-grid vacations. A well-known late-night host reportedly skipped 2 tapings this week, citing exhaustion, though insiders claim it was really a frantic damage control meeting with his legal team. Even a major streaming platform quietly postponed a documentary project linked to a famous family we won't name. Something is happening behind the curtain, and it's not just fear, it's survival mode. A cryptic Instagram post from a Grammy-winning singer, "When the masks come off, some faces won't survive the light," sent fans into a frenzy, especially after she unfollowed several artists tied to both Diddy and Harvey. And let's not forget the sudden exodus from certain Hollywood firms. 3 major celebrities allegedly dropped their publicists in the same 48-hour span. One former road manager put it bluntly in an anonymous tip: "The dominoes are already falling. Everyone's got something to lose. Everyone's praying their name isn't on that flash drive."
It was like, wow, for Diddy? What? You know, that was a person that I looked up to. He was a mogul, so, and I listened to all the artists that he made superstars. And so to have a chance to be able to be signed to him, it was amazing. It was like, oh my God, I'm here. I finally did it.
That flash drive, according to sources close to the federal probe, is part of what Diddy turned over to prosecutors. It allegedly includes encrypted files, call logs, hotel records, and surveillance footage spanning more than a decade. And if the leaks are even half true, it's not just Steve Harvey who should be sweating. Multiple industry veterans insist that the material connects a constellation of powerful figures. Some who've built empires on family-friendly branding, others who are already circling controversy. It's the unmasking of a generation. One entertainment lawyer warned, "You won't look at your favorite celebrities the same way ever again." Which brings us back to Steve Harvey, the man who built a fortune telling people how to live right, love better, and rise above. And yet, here we are watching the scaffolding crack around him. Harvey's squeaky clean persona is starting to feel like a set piece, carefully propped up, overly polished, and now buckling under pressure. The rumors of intimidation, secret buyouts, and dark connections weren't taken seriously for years. Why? Because the man in the suit told us how to act like ladies and think like men because he sold redemption. But if the files are accurate, Harvey wasn't just aware of the industry's darker patterns. He may have played a part in maintaining them of coming forward.
They've been afraid of what he could potentially do to them within the industry, what he could do to them professionally, maybe even personally. And so yes, it's been a dark secret they've held on to for a very, very long time.
His empire, radio, television, motivational tours, even his clothing line was built on trust. And now that trust is dissolving, sponsors are watching. Syndication deals are reportedly under review. Internal sources at a major network say execs have already had what-if conversations about pulling his shows from international markets if criminal charges land. The ripple effect could be devastating, and fans, they're reeling because Steve Harvey wasn't just a celebrity. He was a symbol. He was the father figure of daytime TV. The man who made mistakes and supposedly learned from them. But what if it was all just a mask held in place by power and silence? His defenders are growing quieter. The usual flood of celebrity solidarity has dried up. No TikTok tributes, no hashtag campaigns, just awkward pauses and unreturned calls. Even Marjorie Harvey's recent Bible verse posts feel more like signals of a fortress under siege than signs of spiritual calm. And for every cryptic denial, more questions surface. Did Steve know what Diddy was doing all those years? Were the lavish parties, the coordinated vacations, the private jets a stage for something much darker? And if he knew, did he stay silent to protect his legacy?
He cornered me. And then he asked me, with his arm up, he asked me, "How you doing?" I'm kind of like, wow, this is, what the heck? Very uncomfortable. And then he rubbed his hand down my breast. He said, "If you need anything at all, you let me know."
A legacy now teeters on the brink. According to a former assistant who worked with Harvey in the early 2010s, it was all about control. Image was everything. Nothing happened unless Steve approved it, especially when it came to his brand. Another former employee described the team around him as loyal to a fault, trained to deny, deflect, and discredit. But that fortress of loyalty is showing cracks. People are speaking. Lawyers are listening. And if even a portion of Diddy's files become public, we could be looking at the collapse of one of Hollywood's most carefully protected empires. What we're witnessing now isn't just a legal firestorm, it's a psychological unraveling. Within the upper echelons of Hollywood, where secrets are currency and reputation is everything, the alleged betrayal by Diddy has triggered something primal. Trust already scarce in those circles is disintegrating by the hour. Powerful figures who once toasted each other at private estate parties and posed together on red carpets are suddenly cutting off communication. Even longtime collaborators are scrubbing old photos, disabling comments, or retreating entirely from public view. Not out of guilt necessarily, but out of fear. Because in this game, it's not about who's guilty. It's about who gets exposed first. Behind the scenes, agents and lawyers are reportedly racing to negotiate immunity deals. Indie ads are being shredded or contested, and investigators are receiving a steady drip of new tips, some of which insiders say are coming from within Hollywood itself. It's a chilling shift in the hierarchy. Loyalty has been replaced by leverage. Celebrities who once moved in coordinated silence are now being pushed into corners, watching their former allies hand over names and details to save themselves. The rules have changed. It's no longer about preserving a legacy. It's about surviving the fallout.
Look at Diddy, for instance. Let's take a look at him. Let's take a look at, he has videos. He has videos of the parties. Now, what I've heard, which I don't know how much of it is in mainstream media, I don't really follow the story that much, but what I've heard from friends that are attorneys, friends of mine that have represented me before, agents and so on, is there's a bidding war going on right now.
The sense of paranoia is palpable. Sources from multiple talent agencies claim their top clients are refusing meetings without vetted legal witnesses present. Some are even traveling with digital signal blockers to avoid surveillance or location tracking. Illicit friendships have turned into quiet standoffs, with each party wondering how much the other knows and whether they've already talked to federal investigators. It's a psychological thriller playing out in real time with real consequences. The fear isn't just about prosecution. It's about humiliation, public unmasking, the permanent destruction of the carefully crafted persona. The emotional toll is real, even if no one admits it. One entertainment consultant who works with celebrity crisis teams described it as internal exile, a mental state where stars isolate themselves preemptively, cutting ties not because they're guilty, but because they don't know who to trust. Therapists specializing in high-profile clientele are reportedly overwhelmed, not with confessions, but with anxiety spiraling into obsession. Who said what, who saved texts, is watching now, and more importantly, should they flip first? In this climate, betrayal isn't a scandal, it's a survival tactic. If Diddy truly opened the door to this kind of unraveling, then Hollywood's elite now find themselves in a frantic rush, not to protect each other, but to outpace the inevitable. It's every star for themselves, and that means the next betrayal is always just one desperate phone call away.
So I'll tell you, I don't know how much, I don't like to say things that I know unless I see it. That there's a little difference, you know. But was it discussed? Was there descriptions from people I know that were at those? Yes, but here's another thing. So how many of these big entertainment parties and over the years and everything, with as successful as you are, have you been around? Does anyone ever come up to you at a certain hour and say, okay, it's time to go? At those parties, they did.
And let's not forget who made this all possible. Diddy, the man once celebrated as hip-hop royalty, now sitting behind bars, awaiting sentencing, maybe holding the keys to a truth the world isn't ready for. Some say he's making his final chess move, burning bridges to save himself. Others believe he's taking everyone down out of spite. But what happens if those files hit the courtroom, or worse, the public? Could we see the fall of more media titans, the unraveling of decadesal-long reputations? Could daytime TV icons, Grammy-winning producers, and Oscar-winning actresses all be tangled in this same shadowy web? And how many of them thought they were too powerful to be touched? I don't know this. But it just seems very suspicious when you go through and you look at in the history of different people that can make you go away if you know, I've worried about some of the things that I talk about on my show, because let's be clear, the scandal isn't just about Steve Harvey or Diddy or Lori. It's about a system that has protected the powerful and punished the silent. It's about image over integrity, loyalty over law, and the terrifying question, how deep does it go? And now we turn to you. If Diddy's evidence is real, if this whole machine of celebrity culture is about to implode, who do you think is next? Which name will drop before the smoke clears? And are you ready to face the truth about the stars you once trusted? Let us know what you believe in the comments below, and hold on tight. The storm is far from over. Until next time, stay curious, stay skeptical, and stay watching.